Good morning, everyone. My name is Rosa Beltran, and thank you for coming to my senior talk. I think the scariest words to say to any teenager are, be yourself. We're teenagers. We can barely figure out our outfits, let alone our personalities. Yet we are told to be who we are. We are shaped, we are molded, we are controlled. But part of growing up, part of claiming our identity, part of owning lives and destinies is looking at what is around us and deciding who we are, what we need, to find our voices. If you think that you deserve a voice, then raise your hand. Please, everyone. If you think that your opinion matters, then raise your hand. If you think that we, as a culture, as a generation, as a people, deserve equality, raise your hand. Raise them. Congratulations, a feminist. Now let me tell you a story. When I was in elementary school, I would get bullied because of my appearance. I was treated differently in those moments, and that caused me to develop, for lack of a better word, a really mean girl. I lashed out my anger onto others and stuck with girls that were just as mean. As I grew older, I never realized why I was so cruel to people. In my sophomore year of school, I was officially exposed to feminism. I took a social class taught by Miss Allen in which she introduced the women's rights movement by a documentary called Misrepresentation, created by the Representation Project. It educated me on the sexism and objectification girls and young women experience in society. It consisted of testimonials that I could relate to. There were girls that said they felt worthless because they didn't have the body image they needed in order to be accepted by people. In a way, I connected with the film and desired to learn more about what feminism is. What I learned was that the roles to be accepted are enforced by other people like you and me, but are created by society. Society is the true culprit as to why I was bullied. It causes kids to be mean to each other just because of the way they look. Feminism fights against this by teaching boys and girls to love themselves and accept their flaws, despite others saying the opposite. I gradually grew to believe and embrace its ideologies and fundamentals as my own. Now, it's one thing to be passionate about something, but it's another to utilize that passion to make a difference. Now, I didn't know any jobs or programs needed a feminist, so I was just content by educating others around me in school. That is until I received an email from the Representation Project, the very same organization that introduced me to feminism. They offered an opportunity for me to become a youth ambassador for their new station, the Global Youth Advisory Council. I was extremely excited and eager to not only learn about my passion, but inspire change within my community. My mission in the Global Advisory Council is to advocate. I wish to advocate to as many people as I can in every opportunity that comes my way. It also gives me the tools that I need in order to do so. I aim to impact and educate people, specifically young students. I want to know what feminism truly is and understand the society that they live in. Ladies and gentlemen, there is an extremely crucial issue in us today. According to a poll conducted by research communications firm Perry Undum, they state that a strong majority of Americans believe in gender equality. Almost 85% say they believe in equality for women. Yet when these poll respondents were asked if they consider themselves a feminist, only 18% said yeah. 18%. Even though they just defined a huge what feminism is. So why is this? Why are we so scared of the F word? Unfortunately, this is simply because people are misinformed. Because of images like this, society has caused us to recognize and internalize these and identifying them as what they believe feminism to be. This is a common mistake. This picture represents misandry. Misandry is when women hate men. That is not feminism. This is exactly why I want to be that person who will clear up these myths, stereotypes that society has caused us to internalize. I strive for a difference in my community, and I began to do so with the senior class of 2018. In order to make this change happen, I was trained by my counselor to learn how to transform social content into a form of advocacy. I attended monthly meetings online and discussed forms of social action with 20 other girls across the country and even outside of the country. Our council assigned us a project in which we had to create a poster card members for our club or organization. As shown, I used the wage gap and gender roles to appeal to both genders, so I have an idea of what exactly our organization aims to eliminate and get them interested in social action. With the help of my organization, I also decided to officially host a screening showing their new documentary, Mask 11. The film follows Boise young men who struggle to stay true to themselves while negotiating with America's narrow definition of masculinity. It depicts the harsh standards that boys face in society, which encourage them to disconnect from their emotions, resolve conflicts through violence, and objectify and degrade women. I had a total of 20 seniors and a junior attend this event, extremely glad that the majority were males. The impact on these students was not only educational, but life-changing. I created a pre-survey to see what they knew about general terms such as feminism and masculinity. Most importantly, I created this survey to their opinion and belief about not only these terms, towards society in particular. For example, I asked them what they thought roles were before they watched a documentary. Here is their response. Almost the majority of the students consider society's gender roles to be that the men are the providers of the household and the women are caretakers. This clearly shows just how evident society expectations are for both genders, and students can clearly recognize society is teaching them. After watching the documentary, I asked again what they thought gender roles were. Here is the result. The consensus stated that boys can feel emotion, and if they do, they must hide it. Another portion that boys should form close relationships because they could be seen as a mama's boy, or if they form a close relationship with a guy, then they're gay. Additionally, I wanted to know what they personally thought of these gender roles. Did they think they were stupid, or did they think they were justified? I asked them just this before watching the documentary. Here is their response. Almost the majority of the students consider society's gender roles dumb, ancient, unequal, and unrealistic. Now, I made sure they knew what these gender roles specifically were, and not pressure them to answer any certain type of way. Apparently, I do. After watching the documentary, I altered the question to be a bit more concentrated on a man's gender role. I asked them if they still view the same way as they did before. Here is the result. Almost all of the students considered a man's gender role to be that the side of the people who disagreed with that gender role did stay the same, but that it increased. I realized that if I didn't get to that one person, I realized that it made an impact on those 4 people, because now they not only understand gender roles, they realize the negative effects associated with them. Almost all students were able to recognize and understand additional perspectives other than their own on something that has been instilled in their brain for years. They vaguely knew about gender roles before, but now they know exactly what they are and their beliefs on them. That itself is an impact that will last them a lifetime. They get to learn a great deal of information from not only the documentary, but itself, and still understand the main concept of masculinity, and best of all, true feminism. To some, it was even an emotional impact because many male students could relate to the issues discussed. But to watch other people speak freely about their experiences and acknowledge those issues was a deal for them. I'm thankful that I got to impact students like Kevin G. in this manner. As for me, the impact was entirely personal. I experienced educational impact before, but to myself present this opportunity of clarity to students was a complete different experience. I could not believe that I had the ability to teach about my passion, let alone get results from it. It felt incredibly humbling to observe the genuine interest that these students expressed for some and social issues. It amazed me the students were so willing to learn, and I was eager to teach. I kind of considered being a teacher that day. Teachers, now I understand you come to work every day. Now, the video I'm about to show many of the issues that teenagers face in our society. I asked from 9th to 12th grade this question: what is the worst thing you've ever heard say about you? Obviously, this question is very personal. It was difficult to find students who were willing to share their experiences. Thankfully, I found a group of brave students who chose to conceal their identities, as you will see. Please take a look.
You're nice to everybody? You're a pushover.
I'm a male dancer, but I guess that doesn't make me masculine.
Why do you have such an art?
When they call me illegal.
I can't spell. I might be dyslexic.
I must be blind.
Why don't you show your feelings? I must be cold-hearted.
It was a very grateful experience for me to personally understand these students and their insecurities. Most of them I've known for a while, so I prepared to think that students would say such mean things to them. It really made me reflect on how impactful words can be. A big part of feminism is empowerment, not just for girls, but for everyone. It's impossible to go through without hearing the stereotypes that surround you, not solely because of your gender, also because of your ethnicity, body image, or sexuality, and much more. As women, sexualized, objectified, and degraded every day. As a Twitter blog called Genderlog, they state, mass media working under a patriarchal construct mainly perpetuates gender stereotypes and maintains the status quo. Little girls are constantly to have a certain appearance due to sexist advertising like this. Boys are learned to hinder their emotions and not express their feelings. What results from these types of teaching are issues like anorexia, domestic violence, steroid abuse, bullying, and so much more. It all seems like the blame falls on society, but what we fail to admit is that a society like this cannot function without the people in it. We are part of a society that urges this systematic oppression. Therefore, we are the ones who have to stand up and speak out against it. In order to create a better society for ourselves and future generations, we cannot be afraid of the word. Feminist. Feminism is simply this: a social movement for gender and sex equality. And for me, a personal commitment to understanding and achieving gender equality in everyday life. I believe feminism is super important, and I'll tell you some reasons why. I'm a feminist because compared to girls of the same age, boys are 7 times more likely to die by their own hand. I'm a feminist because 1 in 4 young women are sexually assaulted. Society still asks, what was she wearing? Because male victims aren't believed, because guys always want sex, right? Because catcall and street harassment aren't a compliment, it's just plain creepy. Because 1 in 4 young women only hold STEM jobs in these types of fields, 6% of TV stations, and percent of executive decisions in the media. I'm a feminist because we're still paid less than men. Daisy and Mario will help me demonstrate this now. Daisy, can you please pull out $1? What I'm about to show will show how society discriminates against women when it comes to the wage gap. I will show as compared to a white man's dollar. Daisy, can you please cut this $1? This is a real dollar, by the way. Wow. What Daisy cut was an Asian woman's pay. Daisy, can you cut a white woman's pay? A Hawaiian or Pacific Islander woman's pay? A Hispanic woman's pay? And can you hold these pieces together to show the audience? This shows just how absurd our society continues to be when it comes to working the same jobs, the same hour, still paid less than white men. Don't even get me started for men of color. Actually, let's do that. Mario, can you please pull out $1 from your wallet?
It's my only dollar, though.
Can you please?
Fine, I guess.
What Mario is going to demonstrate is going to cut his $1 so that he can demonstrate how men of color are discriminated as well in the wage gap. What Mario just cut was an Asian man's pay. Mario, you cut an African American man's pay? A Hispanic man's pay? Hold all of these pieces together to show the audience. What this shows is how not only society discriminates against women of color, actually just women, but it discriminates against men of color as well. Now you know. Thank you, too. I'm a feminist because the media has told me that women are my competition. And first, I'm also a feminist because representation matters. Women, especially women of color, are rarely represented in mainstream films, as well as LGBT folk as well. As you can see, 5% is the percentage of mainstream films in 2013 that starred a woman of color. 4 is the number of mainstream films in 2012 that starred an LGBT character. So why is this? But what you can do is you can take the pledge at www.therepresentation.org to pledge that you'll use your voice to make social change within your community. We need to be the ones to stand up and show that society cannot restrict us just because of our ethnicity. Equality doesn't have to be a hopeless dream. With strength and unity, it'll slowly become reality. And the best thing you can do is speak out. When someone tells you can't do something because of your gender, prove them wrong. You can do it because we all have the human potential to make change in this world. And that concludes my senior talk. Thank you.